What's going on, guys? Always Francisco. I had an crazy brainchild of a thought about how software as a service is today and where it could possibly be going in the future. So, where this comes from is just an extrapolation on the knowledge that I already understand and know about how AI works and software. It's not necessarily about like charts or anything like that, but I think I can give some pretty reasonable reasoning for why I think that we will get to the point that I think we will. So, bring this up here. So, currently, software as a service as of 2021 from KeyBank Capital Markets, they did a survey to find out what the margins were looking like, and 354 companies were surveyed, and they seen that the subscription gross profit margin was around 80%, but if you include customer support, uh, you're at 68 to 75%. So, why is this important? Whatever, who cares? It's just profit margins. So I make the argument that software as a service companies will in the future be disrupted by AI. People naturally already know that. But I think that we will see a race to the bottom and we'll look back on the past 50 years as a short period where margins in the software industry were possible to get 65 to 80% margins. And I believe that because as artificial intelligence is growing, it is growing exponentially. Just last year, we had pretty crappy large language models that couldn't really do that much, but now we have them where we can hold full conversations with them. I think that as time goes on, I think it'll be either an open source type of model where an AI model can create much of what a software as a service company can provide you and will cause the price of the tool that you're using to go down. I can even see this in like Netflix or things like that. If you haven't seen version 6, it can just do incredible things that like we haven't seen before. So even like this image right here, this was created with Midjourney version 6, and it it's a pretty compelling picture, but it can also do this in many other different art styles. So it can do Simpsons art style, it can do Futurama and things like that. So long term, companies like, um, so this photo here is the one that it's a pretty nice photo, but like I said, it can also do other art styles. So the more art styles that opens up to it and the more movement that Midjourney can create into its pictures, the more likely that we can see a disruption from a big software as a service company like Netflix. Like Netflix does, you don't think of Netflix as something like, oh, like Netflix isn't a software as a service company, but it is. It holds millions of videos, millions of movies, TV shows that you can just open up immediately, quickly and accessible to your device anywhere on earth. So that's the software that you buy. And as AI proliferates more of these industries, it'll be cheaper for someone like you and I to just create something to similar scope as a Netflix. Um, that's just one example. Another example is with so I was in real estate for a long time. For about 5 years, I was in real estate, and we had to pay a due of I think it was $200 a year just to use like the AI models that Compass was creating for us. So these AI tools are really powerful in that we could know like, okay, this person that you dealt with in the past is likely to sell a home, or this person is likely to want to buy a home at this point because we know they've been saving for X amount of time, and last time you spoke to them, they had this much money, and we extrapolate that out to long term, they can be more likely to buy a house. So these are really powerful, but $200 a year for each person on our team. In the first year, we didn't. Our my actual team paid for it. The next year, we had to pay for it. But if you have a large company and you're outsourcing the same type of software from Compass, and you have a 50-person team, then literally at the end of the year, you're paying what $10,000 every single year just to outsource this software. Um, and that's expensive, especially for like a small company to do something like that every year, year over year. Like they're trying to cut costs. If you create if an artificial intelligence can take over 80% of that and you sell it at $50 per person, when like I guarantee you you're going to steal market share from whatever company that is. That's just a small example. Or we can even go to example like I was like Workable, they use different software integrations into like your web browser, and Workable can charge you like, let's even say they charge like $10,000 a person on a team, like, which isn't that crazy for these large companies. Um, I remember recently hearing about someone who spent on software, and they spent around 500,000 every single year just for software on their team. And if you can get the cost down even a small bit, then you will steal market share. And I think that it's really possible with these AI models to do something like that. It's I think that they will have a race to the bottom where instead of having 80% margins, it'll come down to something normal that like is 20%, 30% margins. I don't know any company or any type of professional work that you can do where you're making 80% margins. It's only software that you're able to do that. And it does make sense. You're selling, you got a group of smart people who can sell you a product that only they can create. And you pay a monthly fee so that they can help you with customer service. They have a legal team to help you, but with an AI model, you can get rid of a lot of the overhead. So I'm excited to see small businesses who can create good models that are small and efficient that can work like locally. Um, and maybe they can even sell you the computer that runs the model. That could also be a way to get into it. Um, but long term, I don't think that we'll be able to see 80% margins for much longer in software as the thing that creates software gets more accessible. The issue before is that you had to pay software engineers an incredible amount of money because they're rare to get a good software engineer. But if you can get a decent to above average software engineer in an AI model to build you something comparable to what these great human software engineers can create, people will go that route. Even though some people are going to say like, oh well, yeah, but they're irreplaceable right now, they're much better. But the thing is, you have to think of it as a business owner or someone who's running and owning a business. And it's like, if I could save a few nickels, dimes, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars using these small models or models that are comparable, then I'll just do that. Maybe I just hire one great software engineer and then have 80% of the back end just done by the model. These are things that like many people will start to gravitate towards. And I think that you may even see other companies start to try and get in front of it. So some of these companies that have 80% margins, like Workable, um, will try, or Slack. Slack's another big one that could possibly be disrupted by this type of technology. Um, will try and make their product cheaper, probably at the cost of many software engineers. But I think it'll cause a huge deflationary pressure on our economy as well, where small companies are able to create way more value than they would have in the past. Smaller teams creating more value, that's deflationary because you need less people to work, more money is being created. Hopefully, like I'm unsure about how the jobs will be affected by people who may have worked like under these models before or under these software engineers before, but I think that it'll have a great positive and a deflationary effect on our economy, and most software as a service companies will have to respond. Let me know in your comments below how you feel about it, because personally, I think that it's a slam dunk for. I think it's a great take, A1 take. Maybe you can try to like help me understand if there are other industries where you can get 80% margins, um, and how they have been affected in recent years, because that's the only one that I know in modern history. But if you can think of something in the past, I'd love to know. Let me know. That's always Francisco.